And so again, many people do is they just don't open them anymore. And again, I'm going to go through a couple of them with you, but and you'll see in just a minute. There's so many. I can't tell you what's in yours, but there's ways to find out, and I'm going to show you how to do that, how to figure out what it is that letter or their IRS notice is actually, what that means, what they're trying to do, where you are in the process, because there's a whole process about this. So I am a tax professional, as you well know, and one of the things that means is that they send me emails every day and tell me what they're talking about. So I saw a lot of articles in the news today about notices, IRS notices. So, and I look at my email and I get that from the IRS. What's in the notice? What people should and should not do. Well, let's pull it up and then you'll see what I'm talking about. So, what people should and should not do if they get mail from the IRS. So this is another, bullet points, what you can do, what you should do. Of course, they think you should pay yesterday. And, and of course, if you could have paid yesterday, you probably would have. So there's something up that why you didn't. And so every year the IRS mails letters or notices to taxpayers for many different reasons. Typically, it's about a specific issue with the taxpayer's federal tax return or tax account. A notice may tell them about changes to their account or ask for more information. It could also tell them they need to make a payment. This year, people might have also received correspondence about economic impact payments or an advanced child tax credit outreach letter. My camera malfunctioned. So more letters than usual. Actually, the IRS took a year off, stopped sending any letters for at least a year for COVID. So they were not sending any balance letters. They didn't want to upset anybody, I guess. But they stopped sending the letters. Of course, they didn't have anybody. These are mostly automatic, but there was nobody else to put them in a bin or something and send them out. So here's some do's and don'ts for anyone who receives mail from the IRS. Usually these things are pretty self-explanatory, kind of obvious. So don't ignore it. Now, that seems obvious, but so many people ignore it. And again, because they don't understand I know I owe the IRS money. But again, there's a process and step-by-step process that the IRS must go through before they can take anything away from you. And many of them look very onerous, these notices. I have come to the conclusion, and they changed these notices a couple of years ago, that they used to be more, I think, reflective of their true character. So, for instance, when they had the notice of the final notice of intent to levy, there was big letters that said "final notice of intent to levy," and your right to an appeal. And that one is very critical because you have 30 days to file something. When they give you the right to appeal, you have 30 days to file for an appeal and stop any collection activity. Sometimes you'll get a notice that says notice of intent to levy, but it's not a final notice of intent to levy, and they make it look like a final notice of intent to levy. As I mentioned a couple of years ago, I think they changed that final notice into one that says final notice. So it doesn't get you, especially after you've received so many different notices from the IRS. This one doesn't stand out. I think they should make it in a different color or something and stand out and say, this is it. This is the final one. But I think, the earlier ones, they make look like the final one so they get you to act. And the final one, they get to look like that it's not the final one because if you don't act, they can start taking things away from you. And so maybe they don't want you to act. At least that's what I've come to the conclusion of. Okay, so again, don't ignore it. Seems like a simple advice, but it's true that many people with IRS problems ignore it. So most IRS letters are federal tax. Each notice deals with a specific issue and includes specific instructions on what to do. Don't throw it away. Well, because a lot of times you got to bring it, and it'll have a number on there, and a telephone number or somebody you should contact if you have a revenue officer who to contact, things like that, and then what year they're after, what the issue is. It says don't panic. Well, that's why people ignore it because they don't want to panic. So they don't want, so they just don't look at it. Then they won't panic. Don't reply unless instructed to do so. Actually, you should, if you know you owe the IRS money, you should always reply. Although, again, most people don't. Do take timely action. Well, of course, this is the IRS telling you to take timely action. Timely action would have been filing your tax return on time or paying on time. And that's up to them now. That's what they say. Do review the information. Well, again, you should probably read it and understand what they're telling you, what's on there. Do respond to disputed notice. So if they say something, for instance, that I had a case last week, a woman received a notice from the IRS. They counted a 1099 that she received twice. And they got a notice. She said, we looked at your tax returns. You forgot to put this on. She put it in writing, sent it to him, said, no, this is a mistake. Well, that was from 2014. We're still fighting that fight. Okay, but at least she has correspondence backup to the IRS that shows that she's been debating this or objecting to this since the very beginning. Do remember there is usually no need to call the IRS. Well, that's true. Here's the thing. They don't answer 84% of their phone calls. So even if you call, you won't get through. Do avoid scams. Well, that's very good advice, but if you could avoid the scam and you knew it was a scam, you would avoid it. But the problem is you don't always know it's a scam. Usually the IRS is not going to call you. They're never going to ask for money over the phone. Never going to ask for money over the phone. So just remember that. So if someone calls you to try to scam you, if I never pay them over the phone, they're never going to get any money from me. And if I send any money, I'm going to send it to the IRS. And then whoever's trying to scam me, they're never going to be able to scam me. So as I mentioned that this was in an email today. So there's some websites that came up with their own stuff. Here's one. Received an IRS notice. Here's what to do. And then they go through, everybody's getting notices. Review the letter carefully. Search the notice number on the IRS's website. Okay, so I'm going to talk about that next, I think. What happens is, as I mentioned, there are so many different notices from the IRS that some people get confused about what they are. And, and again, there's a whole host of numbers. I'm going to go through them in just a minute.